We're just sitting here. Oh, guys. Oh, guys.
We're just looking off camera at our amusing dogs.
And our
ever amusing
amusing dogs. This is why, one of the many reasons why you should have animals, because they're hilarious. And we spend a significant amount of our time staring at them.
Well, I loved the dogs that we said goodbye to earlier this year, but they weren't hilarious.
No. These two they're absolutely Doofus 1 and Doofus 2 in the best possible way. They are a comical team for sure. We're functioning on Facebook. That's exciting.
Oh, it's a good deal.
I like when everything works.
Yes, it's so rare.
Brings me great amounts of joy.
It's
when
so
everything
rare.
Works.
For those of you joining us for the first time, maybe
hello,
stumbling onto us.
Hello, I'm sorry you stumbled.
I'm Leonard Maltin. That's my daughter, Jessie Maltin.
Hello.
And we're here.
We're here. We're melting. It's 1 billion degrees outside.
Yep.
But all is well. And we're happy to be with you.
It's an interesting household we have right now. We have these two hyperactive, very amusing dogs.
Yes.
Who add comic relief to the proceedings, whatever's going on.
Yes.
I am recuperating from shoulder replacement surgery.
Yes.
Last week we camouflaged my sling.
A little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even try today.
No. There's only so much energy one has.
That's right. And
one find oneself with not much energy.
And this one here is just past 6 months.
I'm 27 weeks pregnant, and counting pregnant weeks are weird. So I don't, when someone says how many months, I go, I don't know. It's a time.
Yeah.
they tell me what to do, and
yeah.
I do it, and
And you went for your most recent inspection.
That's a horrible word to use, but yes.
Really?
Oh, it just sounds weird, doesn't it? I went for an inspection.
Well, that's what they were doing. They were inspecting the little baby that's growing inside you, and they found everything to their liking.
Well, my favorite part is as they were looking at everything, the doctor goes, there's 1 kidney, there's 2 kidneys. My husband goes, we want 2 kidneys, right? Some doctors and nurses have a sense of humor. Some of them don't. I just dropped my phone, excuse me. Pardon me, excuse me. I did it twice. It's just that kind of a day. But that's all right. Now you need to sit up.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you slouch.
Okay,
Hang on.
no slouching here.
Hang on.
No slouching.
We're trying
here.
to be very careful with his new shoulder and making
Yes.
sure that it is supported
yes.
at all times.
And as I may or may not have said last week, it's revelatory to find out how difficult it is to function with only one hand when you're used to 2.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess up this surgery.
No.
And
No. One surgery was enough.
Yeah.
Let's not have another.
We go down like 3 steps to get to this particular room. And I was carrying a book that I'm going to show you in a little while, and the iPad we're using. And I said to Jessie, I can't come down because I need my right hand to hold the railing, but I can't also hold these other things. There are people out there who live with much worse,
but
handicaps in their life. But anyway,
it's the little things is what's always funny.
Yeah.
Looks like Leonard is wearing a kimono robe. That is.
If only.
It does a bit. It's a T-shirt with a sling over it, but I'll go with that. Now, should I move this so you're not kicking it?
Well, yes.
Or you could just not kick it.
Or I could just not kick it.
It would be.
Let's try doing that.
Option A, option B.
Someone just thanked me for recommending the Max Steiner book by my friend Stephen Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific book about, the dean, I guess you could say, of film composers from the Hollywood's golden age. And it's a very, very good book. And that's all.
And that's all you have to say about that. Yeah, it is a very good book. Hi, Jim. Yeah, Jim, we're okay. We both have sort of slept, so that's exciting. Yeah, I am now in the stage of pregnant where the baby likes to tap dance at night. So as soon as I start to go to sleep, suddenly there's like a good old-fashioned kidney punch. And you go, well, hello to you too. So sleep's a little bit more difficult, but that's okay.
Well, wouldn't it be lovely if when she's of age, she does learn how to tap dance, or she knows somehow.
She comes out tap
Inherently,
dancing.
yeah, she comes out tap
Would
dancing.
anyone be surprised? No. No one would be surprised.
Or displeased.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, also that. I'm trying to think of all the different stuff that we've watched this week. So my dad, normally, we've talked about before, my dad is not generally much of a TV person, only because he's normally consumed by movies. But being home, both because of pandemic, but now also in recovery, means that he's suddenly watching much more than he ever has. And it's been interesting to sort of discuss television more, because normally it's me and my mom. My mom and I are the TV junkies. We watch everything.
And they compare notes.
Yes, we get very angry with the other if they haven't caught up, because you want to talk to someone about what you've just seen. And we were talking about this the other day. There was a show called The Big C a few years ago, starring Laura Linney, and my mom hadn't watched one of the season's finales, and I did, and I watched it. I must have finished at 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and I was weeping, like sobbing hysterically. You were asleep.
No, but I remember the next morning you telling me.
No, that was the whole. See, this that you were asleep. I came downstairs at 1 o'clock in the morning to my mother and woke her up because I had to talk to someone about how upset I was. But then I also couldn't tell her what happened in the finale. So I'm crying, trying to explain that I haven't woken her up because it's an emergency, but instead because I'm really emotional about the season finale of the show. And thank God my mom is as crazy as I am and went, "That's okay. No, don't tell me what happened, but it's okay that you're crying." I was like, "This is really emotional, Mom." So yeah, we do love our TV. You guys have just watched Dr. Foster.
Yes.
Which I watched last year. It's a British, what would they call it now?
Limited series.
Limited, something like that. And you enjoyed that one.
Yeah. We only saw the first season. Oh, we have to go back for the second helping.
Yes, go on.
And apparently since they've resolved a lot of the storylines in season 1, I think season 2 is going to be a different.
It's quite different.
Yeah.
Season 2 is quite different for sure. I am on episode 6 of Brand New Cherry Flavor. If you have heard about that yet, that is new on Netflix. You will not be watching it.
Okay.
It is not your cup of tea. It's weird as hell. Oh, excuse me. Sci-fi, very strange, but cool and well done so far. But odd, definitely odd. And I will finish it. It's only 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. I will inevitably finish.
Snap.
8 episodes, done. Have you watched Reservation Dogs yet? Yeah, my husband and I watched the first 2 episodes. How many did you guys get through?
Just one.
Just the one. It's if you know Taika Waititi and you know sort of that style of humor, it's very dry. It's not, it's sometimes laugh out loud funny, but much more sort of that,
yeah.
I've mentioned the show Paranormal, Wellington Paranormal that's on right now. So good. That is much more of a laugh out loud, but still very, very dry humor.
Yeah.
I like Reservation Dogs. I don't know that I love it, but I like it.
I respect it.
Yeah.
And I respect that they have their own voice.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know, a unique voice. And it's about these teenagers on an Indian reservation in the Western United States. I don't know where.
Don't think you say Indian reservation anymore.
Native American.
Some version.
Yeah.
Of yes.
Yeah.
Which. It's a strange one. It's interesting, but it's a strange one. I'll give it a few more.
Okay.
I think, though my mom watched it with my dad and said she was done after one episode, which is fair enough too.
One and done.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm in the process of watching the Rockford Files for the first time as an adult. Totally different experience. That's interesting. It is interesting to watch something that you watched some years ago.
Yeah.
Or watch something that's from a few years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how much things do change.
Yeah.
Even just in what you are and are not allowed to say. You know, you'll catch things and go, oh my God, you could never today.
Now, I love the Rockford Files.
Yeah.
When it was new.
Yeah.
With James Garner and Noah Beery Jr.
Yeah.
And very amiable, clever show. And I don't know what it would look like today.
Yeah.
Now, of course, in those days, I don't know which series was the first to do this. It may have been Hill Street Blues that changed things up, where they started having an A story and a B story and a C story. And now we've got up to letter H, I guess.
Yeah.
And when we look at really old shows like Have Gun Will Travel, there's just the story.
Yeah, right. It's Lassie found a kid down a well.
Right, exactly.
And then you get the kid out of the well. Yeah. And then it ends.
Right.
One of my favorite things.
Ozzy loses a button on his cardigan
Ozzy
sweater.
Loses button on sweater. Something that I always think about is I want to be the guy who gets to write the first 3 minutes of all the Law and Orders, all the CSIs, where it's completely separate to all things. And it always makes me laugh because it'll be two maids in a swanky hotel in Manhattan walking around bitching about the guests. And then one goes, well, I'll tell you what, my son has a history exam tomorrow night. And they find the body. I want to be the person that gets to write just those little short, a husband and wife are having an argument in a taxi, and a taxi driver is driving slightly erratically, and they're talking and they're saying, hey, you be more careful. And as they drive, someone next to them gets shot, and you never see the taxi ever again. Taxi's gone.
I had the not unique but unusual privilege of writing log lines.
Yes.
TV Guide like log lines.
Yes.
For two shows that they packaged as one syndication entity, BJ and the Bear and Sheriff Lobo. Two MCA Universal shows, neither of which I watched ever. But that didn't stop me from taking a freelance job writing these log lines.
Details.
Yeah.
Details.
But of course they only had an A story.
Right.
Didn't have to worry about.
Ozzy loses button on cardigan sweater. Yes. A little bit different. Victoria says she loves to spot new and old stars and guest appearances. Sure. Oh yeah. That's one of the most fun bits.
Oh, well, you're not going to be able to answer me quickly, but if you haven't seen the approximately 20-minute YouTube compilation of every guest star introduction for the William Conrad show canon, go check this out on YouTube. Not right now, perhaps, but
wait a minute later, if you could.
Later today. Oh, man. It's so funny without meaning to be, or, it's only funny if you were sort of there and you enter into that vibe. This announcer was an announcer on all the Quinn Martin productions. And he's just calling out these names, some of which are very familiar, veteran character actors. Some of them were newcomers then. Some of them never made it. And they spliced them all together. And I just love it. It's
there's no way of knowing when you watch something, what, who's going to pop up, what year was it, so-and-so is delivering drinks in the background, this person who's now a huge star, because everybody has to start somewhere, we all must begin somewhere. And it's always, I enjoy that aspect.
Two people have weighed in about William Conrad's voice, which is one of the great voices. And, but I never put together that great basso voice was the voice that higher pitched narrated all the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. I mean, I saw his name on the credits, but I said, well, what does he do on the show? Well, as I say, he went lighter, and no pun, because he was a heavy set man, but he went lighter for Rocky and Bullwinkle, and was great. I only learned recently that he did the voice or provided the voice for the animated Lone Ranger when Filmation.
Yeah, someone else just mentioned that Lone Ranger is fantastic on that. Oh, that's something else I watched is What If. We watched my husband and I watched the first episode of What If, which is the new show on Disney Plus. I think of it only because you mentioned voice actors.
Yeah.
And it uses some of the actors who are in the films.
I just read a story about it in the Hollywood Reporter. Yeah.
But then it has some other folks that are more known for their voice. And it's interesting because someone like Jeffrey Wright is now known for his voice. He's got such a great voice. And we love interviewing those kinds of folks anyway. But when you talk to someone like Phil Lamar, who does everything, or you were on Rob Paulson's show. Yeah. And he's famous for many, many voices that one of our favorite, of course, being Pinky of Pinky and the Brain. But he and Maurice LaMarche, they have such a history with voices. And once you start to recognize someone's voice, you can't miss it. Yeah. You go, oh, that's definitely so-and-so. That's definitely this person. Even if it's just something as simple as John Hamm is Mercedes or BMW?
Mercedes.
Mercedes. John Hamm is the voice of that. And it's very entertaining.
Now, speaking of voices, which reminds me of radio.
I'm following you. I'm with you.
Yep. I read earlier this week about this, but I didn't know how to follow up. Lucille Ball produced and hosted her own 15-minute daily radio show for CBS Radio in 1965, when network radio was all but dead. But there was a little window there when CBS said, well, maybe we should give it one more shot. And they produced, some programming that went coast to coast. And Lucy apparently had a reel-to-reel tape recorder, old-fashioned reel-to-reel tape recorder, which she lugged around to various studios. And
she was the first podcaster.
Essentially, yes.
She was the first podcaster.
Essentially, yes.
She was Mark Maron before Mark Maron was Mark Maroning.
Well, they put them all on Sirius XM, which I don't get. So my friend Dennis Rear just sent me links to two of them, or to four of them, to two-parters. And I just listened to Lucille Ball interviewing Frank Sinatra in his dressing room at Warner Brothers, where he's making a film called Marriage on the Rocks with Dean Martin and Deborah Kerr. And you don't hear a lot of interviews with Sinatra, period. But I've never heard him speak in such a relaxed manner. Yeah. Talking about his kids, talking about, how proud he is of, what they're all achieving. And the new movie he did, which was photographed. And Lucy says, who photographed the film? Bill Daniels? That's William Daniels, who photographed Garbo in the 20s and 30s. Frank says, yeah, Bill also is a producer on the movie. Oh, really? It's so obvious. I mean, no one else could get this kind of interview. Right. Because anyone else would be a journalist. Right.
Well, it's a bit like now why people enjoy those actors on actors series, whether they're on YouTube or the written versions, because there is something about speaking to a colleague. Yeah. And somebody who understands. And certainly, because they tend to sort of match the star power, as silly as that may sound, that is what they try to do, because who's going to understand being Brad Pitt in the sense of fame, right? Who could understand that? Well, you have a short list of people, someone like George Clooney, someone like Tom Cruise, there's a short list of people who could even begin to understand what it's like to be famous in that way. And that's what makes it special. In the same way that when a director speaks to another director, I mean, what was so much fun about when Guillermo in Telluride, it was Guillermo and Alejandro together. Do you remember?
Two of the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro and Alejandro
González Iñárritu. And the two of them, it was like the whole audience could have left because they were just having a ball. And again, there's something there that you can't create otherwise.
Anyway, apparently somewhere down the road, they're going to release these as podcasts.
Yeah, well,
The
that's
Lucy-
the
the
smart
Lucy
thing
shows.
to do.
The other one that I listened to is Lucy and Mary Tyler Moore.
Hmm.
Now, this is pretty early in Mary Tyler Moore's career. She's still in the Dick Van Dyke Show. I think they're in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew going into season 5 that would be their finale. They chose
Yeah.
to retire the show after season 5. And it's just, I mean, she and Lucy are talking about clothing, how she felt funny. She was working on a show in New York, and she was staying at the Essex House on Central Park South, and she's going to a dance rehearsal, and she's put on her leotard, and and she said, "Oh, I can't go out like that, even to a cab, just to hail a cab."
Right.
She felt funny. Whereas in California, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You could do whatever you damn well please.
Yeah.
Nobody minds.
And that was 50 years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So interesting. I'm so glad that has happened.
Yes.
The Cinematic Pack Rat says, random question, does Mr. Maltin ever cuss? I can't imagine a curse word coming out of his mouth.
Aw, shucks.
I have bad news. Boy, does he curse. Yes. No, my dad is old fashioned, I think, in that he does not like to curse for tape, for radio, for however you want to.
And certainly not in front of my class.
Oh no, never in front of your class, and not on something like this because it's
and my students notice it.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
Early on, when I got feedback from students, one of the things that,
you know what movie I'm thinking of that you never said the title.
Oh,
of the film.
yeah.
This is still my
Yeah.
favorite. Go on.
Yeah.
Your students noticed.
They noticed that the two things that they noticed when I got my early feedback from teaching this very large class, 300 some students, is I was never sarcastic.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
With them, and I'm not. I'm deliberately.
Well, you are, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
You're not sarcastic at something.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is that I didn't curse.
Yeah.
I didn't swear.
Yeah. So there was a film a few years ago that two folks who have now worked a lot, Drake Doremus and Ben York Jones, two lovely guys. Ben writes and Drake directs. They had a film called Douchebag, and
yes, they did.
It's very good.
I like
It's
it.
a really good film, and they came to my dad's class with it, and we kept joking beforehand, me and my dad's TAs and one of the guys who books the films for the class. I kept saying, I just can't wait to hear him say the name in front of the kids. He just didn't say the name of the film. And it became a gag that he just wasn't saying the name of the movie. And he just kept referring to it as the film, the movie we're watching tonight. And it just made me laugh. Yeah, he does curse. He just doesn't like to curse publicly.
You're referring to the class that I'm resuming a week from Thursday,
man.
In person,
not
on Zoom, as I have had to do for the past year.
Yeah.
Past 2 semesters.
Yeah. USC is starting in-person classes, which is exciting and crazy. They are requiring vaccination for anybody who's going to be on campus. And we'll see what it's like. I don't think anyone knows what it's going to be like till we're doing it.
That's right.
And
things change every day.
Every day, every single day. So we'll have a better sense once it actually begins. And I'm so glad that they're at least going to try to do it in person, because Zoom school is just no fun for anybody. I will say with the cursing thing, what's very funny is people feel funny cursing around my dad. So when we do our podcast, some people do, some people don't, but they'll actually ask us if it's okay. They'll go to curse and then go, I'm so sorry, Mr. Maltin. Is that okay? We go, yeah, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. You can do whatever you want. I enjoy cursing immensely, but also try not to do it so much when we're doing stuff. I just think that there is very little else in life that has a release quite so glorious as a curse word. Like when you're really angry, just letting those out they say that they run tests that your dopamine levels and things like that like rise when you curse.
Really?
Because it's a release.
Okay.
Your whole body sort of goes, ah.
It's cathartic.
So yeah, that's why New Yorkers must be so calm.
Well, as I've told you this before,
Yeah.
that when I lived in Manhattan, I exorcised a lot of my inner demons by getting furiously mad at total strangers that I'd never see again.
Oh yeah.
A cab would cut me off. Hey, what do you think? You're on the street. God damn it! And I would just lose it right there.
Yeah. Far be it for me. Have you seen the excellent documentary about Rosemary? Yes.
Yes.
A while ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It is very good.
Yeah. Sorry, sometimes you guys talk to each other, which always makes me laugh because then I have to make sure I'm reading the right thing. 1 second, scrolling. Try not cursing in front of small children when you have one of your own. Oh, let me tell you. We actually were just talking about this because I think that our child's first words are going to be no, Mabel. Because Mabel is our puppy. She's 9 months old now. And I think I spend a significant part of my day, as do all of us, going, no, Mabel.
Yeah.
So my theory is the child is going to pop right on out and just go, no, Mabel. You're good. Oh, right now you're just covered in leaves. Your whole face, Mabel. White dogs, filthy all the time. Do I have a favorite curse word? I do. I'm not going to say it. I think cluster F is a solid one to go with at any point. Thankfully, there's also Yiddish. So when in doubt, you just let out a good Yiddish word and then no one knows what you're talking about. And it's great. Like fakakta is such a good Yiddish word. This whole fakakta situation just feels good. Oh, Fabrizio says, I can teach you the Italian ones. Fabri, as if. I think the first thing we all learn in different languages are the curse words. I think that's standard. But you have your book.
Yes. Well, the other thing I've been doing during my recuperation is reading a whole lot. And my friend Jenny Paxson sent a recommendation for this book, which came out about a year and a half ago and flew under my radar completely. A long time ago in a cutting room far, far away.
Mm.
And
this book has dirt. This book
good stories
has some good dirt.
Good stories. I've been sharing them with Alice and Jesse.
Yep.
And it's by Paul Hirsch, an Oscar-winning film editor. Worked 11 times with Brian De Palma on a wide variety of films, beginning with early ones. And he has quotes here on the back from Mark Hamill, Walter Murch, the great film editor, Taylor Hackford, and J.J. Abrams. And what did he win his Oscar for? Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars. He also did Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the first Mission Impossible, Carrie, a whole lot of other films, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Mm-hmm. Very interesting stories about John Hughes, and many, many others.
Many.
And let's see the copyright on this book. Is it? We all lost a year, I don't have to tell you folks.
No one knows.
It came out in the year 2020.
You remember that year?
No. Did we live through that year?
No. That year never happened.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's very, very good. When Alice and I lived in Manhattan, we got married in 1975. A few years after that, I taught at the New School for 9 years. I taught an animation course. And for every course you taught, you were allowed to take a course free of charge. So they allowed spouses to do that too. So Mommy took Donald Spoto's Alfred Hitchcock course, more than once actually. And then we decided to together take a course on film editing with Ralph Rosenblum. Now, the late Ralph Rosenblum. Ralph was a fixture on the New York scene. He edited everybody's first movie, Mel Brooks' first movie, The Producers, Woody Allen's first movie, Take the Money and Run, Robert Benton's first movie, Bad Company, et cetera, down the line. Woody Allen was so grateful to him for helping him, take the money and run together and make a better finished product than it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
That he became Woody's editor, right through Annie Hall, and maybe even Manhattan, but certainly Annie Hall. And then Ralph wanted to direct, and his assistant, Susan E. Morse, became Woody's editor of choice. Anyway, Ralph Rosenblum had a great career, and he taught out of his brownstone apartment on the Upper West Side. And it was not a how-to course. It was not a hands-on editing course. What it was kind of a film appreciation course from the point of view of editing. And so we'd show up, there were about a dozen of us, and he'd show a 16 millimeter print, remember those, of Bad Company, let's say, Robert Benton film. And he'd talk about the film and about the journey of making the film. Then he'd show it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he'd talk a little bit more. And then the next week when we came back, he'd show it again, but he'd stop the projector after every sequence and talk about the choices and the options and the debates as to how he or the director wanted the scene to play out. It was so interesting. I mean, I've never looked at films the same way again. It really was life altering. And I remember we came home to our apartment.
Okay, hand me the book again. A few people are asking for the title again.
Sure.
So it's A Long Time Ago in a Cutting Room Far, Far Away.
Published by the Chicago Review Press.
So just one more time if you are looking.
Paul Hirsch is the author. Anyway, we came home, and a local TV station, we turn on TV as a nightlight sometimes. The local station was showing the great musical, The Bandwagon. And so I started watching in the middle of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Astaire and Sid Charisse danced to this beautiful dance to the song Dancing in the Dark. And I watched it, and I said to your mother, they haven't made a cut. It was an observation that I might not have made a month earlier, but suddenly I was looking at.
You're aware of things. Yeah.
It's just great. And Ralph wrote a very good book too, called When the Shooting Stops.
Tap on it.
When the Shooting Stops, Ralph Rosenblum. It's also a really good book.
Yeah.
Full of his really terrific stories.
Yeah.
And he was credible. He didn't make himself the hero of every story.
Yeah.
So I recommend that book too.
People are always asking my dad about book recommendations for different things along these lines. And it is so interesting because there are so many. And when you think about, I've said it before, but it's true. When you watch a movie, even if you don't watch all of the credits and you just watch something that you keep in the back of your mind is this: those are all humans. Really think about that. When you watch a Pixar film, which has 87 names under, this, here's the heading of fill in or this, the colorist, whatever it is. And all those people, they're people. And so the idea that a movie is made, this is why we say every film is a miracle, because the number of humans it takes to make this is mind-blowing. So the fact that many of them have written books, it's all sorts of, it's insight into all different kinds of jobs.
And Paul Hirsch is also a very good storyteller.
Yes, which helps.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Not everybody can tell stories. Not everybody can express themselves in that way.
Yeah.
Is editing the one thing that people don't understand what it does? No, I think editing it's two-part. A good director tends to work with the same editor. Sometimes only one. Sometimes they find each other and that's it. Because
Steven Spielberg and Michael Kahn.
Yep.
Decades.
Our friend Sarah Flack.
Yes.
With Sofia Coppola and several others. There's someone else has to see your vision the way you see it.
Of course, Martin Scorsese and Thelma Schoon.
So yeah,
right?
yes, well, but that's the thing. A lot of the big directors you can think of have their editor.
Mm-hmm.
And in part, why do we work with the same people? Shorthand. Yeah. It's easy. They understand what you want. But for a director, when you hand your film to an editor, they have to see what you see. And it's sort of like, I don't know, it's like they're your third arm. You have to be connected in that way.
Yeah.
So I think that some people understand that. And some people see it more as you're just cutting for time.
Variety, in the olden days, Variety film reviews, there used to be a line that was used repeatedly in movie reviews. Joe Blow has edited to a tight 78 minutes.
Yeah.
Hitchcock and George Tomasini, somebody's saying, yes.
Yeah.
I just introduced a showing of Rear Window the other day.
Yeah.
And talked about George Tomasini, who was married. It's two interesting sidebars. He was married to the silent film actress Mary Bryan, who worked right through the 30s and into the 40s. And they lived not far from us in Studio City. And Mary Bryan was a lovely woman who gave me a great interview when I started my Movie Crazy newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the neighborhood kids who was in and out of her kitchen and, and running around their house, a little fellow named Paul Thomas Anderson.
And what has he done? Yeah. No, again, people have so many interesting stories about this kind of thing. Did Leonard ever own a fedora in the 1950s, 60s? Well, Leonard was born in 1950. So unless they had a tiny baby fedora, probably, I'm going to guess, probably not. And in the 60s, you would have just been a young person into teenagedom.
Yep. When it would have been really odd to walk
wear
around
a
wearing
fedora.
Yeah.
But perhaps in another
in my
life.
Next life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the further part of the question is, what is your favorite Technicolor Vitaphone short from the 30s? How does one choose just one?
How does one choose just one?
Knee jerk, first one that comes to mind.
Good Morning Eve.
There you go.
With Leon Errol, which they shot up at Lake Arrowhead.
Yep.
And the color is gorgeous.
My favorite game to play with him, because otherwise if he thinks too much, then because there's a whole library in there, I'll just go knee jerk, first one you think of, and then he yells it out. Research question. I'm writing about a little known golden age actor. I've done some research, talked to family, but Leonard, is it possible for a freelancer to get access to studio records on actors? Depends on the studio, depends on the actor.
There are very few studio archives open to researchers.
Yeah.
The one exception is the Warner Brothers archive, which is housed at USC. But since the pandemic, the man who was supervising that department left, and I'm not sure he's been replaced.
Not yet.
So
I don't think.
Yeah, and the other studios have never really been wide open.
Yeah.
Walt Disney's archive, they try to help.
Yeah. As I say,
bona fide researchers.
It depends on the studio and depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because you might speak to someone who is interested.
RKO, the RKO papers are now at UCLA Special Collections.
Yeah.
That's absolutely available when the pandemic is.
Yeah, pandemic sort of changes all things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the best thing to do is to sort of reach out, like start at the beginning, as silly as it sounds, and just see what kind of a response you get. That's kind of the best way to go about it. Jonathan, last weekend, this week, kept asking if you've ever seen Iron Giant. Well, if you listen to our show, to the podcast with Brad Bird, you will know, and I recommend it because Brad is such a fascinating guy. We love Iron Giant, and my dad has a bunch of Iron Giant toys in his office. So
yes, I do. It's
a movie that a lot of people haven't seen, but people who have fall in love with it. With good reason. A couple of you were asking about Coda because it's a film that's getting quite a bit of buzz. We have not watched it yet because I can't say why. Can I?
No,
it
I don't
ruins
think
it.
we're doing that.
Basically, my dad is going to be a part of a screening of it coming up,
And I'm saving it up to see
saving it to watch it then.
Yeah.
So that's why we haven't seen it yet, because
But
it's really good.
I hear wonderful feedback.
Yeah, yeah. Iron Giant has there you have a bank, a little piggy bank, where you put the coin into the Iron Giant's little hand, and you hit a button, and he goes and he eats it. You have a tiny one. You have a tiny Iron Giant, like this big. He has a handful of Iron Giant things because he is a big fan. Yeah, Steph, exactly. Yeah, archivist work is a mitzvah. It's true. God bless the archivists, every single one of them. They are one of our greatest resources in general.
Someone just asked if someone just commented that Brad Bird was very good on TCM's Essentials.
Yeah,
yes,
he was. He was.
He's the real deal as a film buff.
What did you guys think of Nomadland? I will be honest with you, I didn't see it. Not on purpose. It was just one of those things I missed it and then didn't really, forgive me, didn't really care. It's been a bit crazy here over the last couple of months. So I have sort of watched what I really want to watch and left the other stuff.
I thought it was a film that earned that Best Picture Oscar, and that Frances McDormand was wonderful in it, and would have been my choice for Best Actress.
People still asking about how pregnancy is going. I can tell you, it's going like this. This is where we're at. It's 107,000 degrees outside, and I am warm all of the time, just all of the time. I call this my Beyonce fan because it makes me feel like Beyonce. Observe the hair. I am Beyonce. Oh yeah, this is just how I have another 10 weeks, and I imagine most of it will be spent like this, if I'm guessing.
The last book roundup that I published on my website, touted a book that is really obscure because it comes from an obscure publisher, the Minnesota Historical Society, something like that, which I've never seen on another book. Got that imprint. Nothing wrong with it, just that it was unfamiliar to me. It's a book about the making of Fargo. Speaking of Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
And Frances McDormand, we have this theory about people who room together early in their careers. There's
so many people where you find out they were roommates and you kind of go, really? It's mind-blowing.
Holly Hunter and Frances McDormand.
Yeah. Can you imagine living next door to the two of them? Oh my God. And thank you, Rachel, coming from you. I appreciate, as one of the most fabulous people I know, I appreciate that. Rachel says my hair looks good with the fan blowing in it. I appreciate that.
Nice effect. Yeah.
Yes. Do we have a name for the baby? Yes. And I'm not telling you. I miss Rudy Belmer. Us too. Victoria, us too.
Rudy. Wonderful
Rudy
guy.
For a very, very long time. So many losses, it's a strange thing.
But he lived a good long life.
Yes.
And he was an advertising man. That was his day job. He worked for the Leo Burnett agency, well-established ad agency, and produced commercials and produced some TV shows. And on the side, he started writing about film history, strictly as a hobby. And then the hobby became his avocation.
Mm-hmm.
No, his vocation.
Yeah.
And his first book was called Memo from David O. Selznick, a book this thick, just great. And everything he put his name on was worthwhile.
It's, I've said to you guys, it's a funny thing to grow up around whoever you grew up with, whoever your parents' friends are, because you don't really know anything about them. They are, mom's friend, dad's friend. You see them, they're at the house and it's just, these are the people you grow up with. And as I've gotten older, my mind is kind of blown by all of the historians and archivists I've been raised with. Because that's not who they were. That's not how someone walks around. Though some of our friends do absolutely walk around as just like all they can do is tell you tidbits about this actor, that actor. Tracy, I think, will find any excuse to get Douglas Fairbanks Jr. into a conversation.
Senior.
Sorry, senior. Forgive me. It's so. I didn't know Rudy and Jerry Beck and all of our pals at the Academy. I didn't know. I didn't know how much they meant to so many people. Your friend David Shepard.
Yeah.
Who passed away. Again, all these people that when you speak to folks in the film world, we're like, God's is too far. But for some people, it's like they brought them every bit of history that they know.
They're hallowed names. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Kevin Brownlow.
Kevin Brownlow, who is such again, totally unassuming. You just wouldn't, I mean, and that's the thing. The best thing I can tell you about everyone that I grew up with is that for the most part, you really wouldn't know what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of that's why you were friends with them.
Yeah.
You know, because you all enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Though we do describe it when my dad and his friends get together, it is like being at the UN without a translator. Because sometimes you guys just start going, and it's hilarious. Because my mom and I say we could drag in a bunch of strippers and they wouldn't notice. You could walk Barnum and Bailey Circus behind them and they would have not the faintest of clues because they're just so into whatever it is they're talking about and looking at. And yeah, it's Rudy. And someone just asked, did you ever meet Charles Champlin?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did on many an occasion. And he wrote a very nice feature piece for the LA Times about me when I was first hired by Entertainment Tonight, and which was very nice and flattering, and a good piece of public relations. But he wrote down or mistook what I said. He wrote down that my wife's name was Judy.
That's my grandma's name.
And
yes, Jake. First of all, Jake, thank you for the kind words. And second, I promise we will get to the toffee.
Yeah. So endless kidding, endless jokes about, oh, really? So you dumped Alice, huh?
Yeah. Yes, my mom's mom was Judy, and like my mother, well known. Everyone who ever met my grandmother, it was one of those things. Oh, Judy. You go, yeah, I know. We know where Alice came from. Donnie's asking, Sterling Holloway was a dear friend of mine. Did you ever meet him? No,
and I wanted to feature him on Entertainment Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had repeated conversations with, I think, his son, who just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
He said, well, do you pay anything? I said, no, we don't pay because most people we interview are promoting something, and I understand your father isn't.
Yeah.
But, well, can you take him to lunch? I said, yes, I can take him to lunch.
Yes.
But it still didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's one that got away.
Yeah. Ryan's asking, did you see Dave Smith very often before he passed away?
Oh, yeah.
He's another one I've known since I was a little kid. I knew Dave most of my life.
Yeah.
And the thing about him, so if you don't know who Dave Smith is, he was sort of the first Disney archivist.
He invented the job.
Yeah, he came in and did that. And he was the perfect person for it because he genuinely loved Disney and all things Disney. And more importantly, loved to share.
Yeah.
Most of the people that we're speaking about right now, part of what made them such great archivists, historians, is that they loved sharing the information. It's not about having it and keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how many people can I tell when I find this fascinating thing? You know, who can I share it with? I would also say if you are not subscribed to my dad's website, if you go to leonardmaltin.com, you can subscribe because that's one of my dad's favorite things to do when he finds something interesting is write pieces about it and share them. Because you never know what you can find. There's so much out there. Jake was asking what this is.
It's just what it seems to be. It's a biscuit tin.
British. Clearly it's a biscuit tin.
Oh, toffee.
Yes.
Toffee, that's right.
Kinema toffee. A real delight.
Now, that's such a perfect rendering of Charlie.
Yeah.
But this, while an attractive rendering, I don't think this is precise of Mary Pickford.
So, and my dad just loves stuff like this. So we have this kind of stuff all over the house.
All over
the house we have it.
Someone just asked, did I meet Mel Blanc? I'm happy to say yes. I wrote him a fan letter when I was a kid, when I was adolescent, and he wrote back a lengthy, really nice, friendly response. And then I wrote him again, and he wrote back again. Both times on interesting stationery. One had Bugs Bunny.
Both times on interesting stationery.
Well, yes. Well, one was from Mel Blanc Associates when he went into the commercial production business. I think with Gary Owen.
Yeah.
And the other was like a kind of a not faded, but like Bugs Bunny was
like a wash.
Yeah.
In the back. Yeah. Again, we need to get your stuff back out again and show it because it was so cool. Amy's asking, hi Maltins, I hope you are well. Did you ever meet William Powell or have any stories you could share? He's one of my favorites.
Mine too. And no, I never did. When I met Don Adams, the one time I met Don Adams at a Paley Center, Paley Museum Center event, I said, is it true that Maxwell Smart on Get Smart is really William Powell, the voice? And he said, well, of course, that was my act. It was my nightclub act. And he said, they finally got to meet him down in Palm Springs where he lived. I said, hello, Don. Hello, Bill. That's a lousy imitation, but you get the idea.
So many good ones. 1 second.
When I interviewed Jack Lemmon, who kept an office in Beverly Hills, he had leather-bound copies of all the scripts, all the films he'd made.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Mr. Roberts. I was doing a piece on Mr. Roberts for Entertain Tonight. And he told me that he stayed friendly. He was actively in touch with all three of his co-stars in that film, Jimmy Cagney, William Powell, and Henry Fonda, for the rest of their lives, which is such you love hearing stuff like that.
It's the best thing you could hear.
Yeah.
Alex saying, could you provide some examples of bad films that were filmed beautifully? Well, this is the thing. There's a lot. I would say one of the things people respect about your reviews is that you try to find the good stuff. So, there are a lot of very talented cinematographers, and a movie can look great and the story can be terrible. So I don't know that I can't think of something right off the bat, but there are a lot of those really picturesque movies where you go, the story wasn't great, but it was fun to be there.
I don't remember who shot Paint Your Wagon, for instance. I remember Joshua Logan directed it. I don't remember who photographed it. But they did it on location, I think in Oregon. And, beautiful scenery. It's a good-looking film, very expensive. But I think the word is elephantine. A lumbering film. A lumbering film.
I like that. Our friend Ryan is asking if Jerry Beck, so he's coming to visit at the end of September, beginning of October, and was wondering if Jerry Beck does any events or meetups with his fans. Jerry used to host several screening events here in LA, but I'm not sure
he's doing it again at the New Beverly.
I knew he was back. I don't know. I think the best thing, he's pretty good about posting on the website and letting people know in that regard. But yeah, usually that's the best way.
He's doing Saturday or Sunday, or maybe Saturday and Sunday matinees.
Because he did Cartoon Dump for years at a different location. But yeah, I would say that's kind of the best way to go about it, is to see sort of what he's got on his docket. That's your best bet. Stephanie's saying, no one ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and they are not the same person. Are there any films whose meaning completely changed for you over time? And that's Stephanie Asher, as in the twins.
Yeah.
Stephanie and I have been friends since we were in preschool together.
Hi, Stephanie. First off, hello.
Yeah. Hi, Stephanie.
Gosh. Well, there's so much that, when I first got hooked on old movies, 12, 13, 14 years old, and that part of my life, I was a kid. I was an adolescent and very unworldly to boot. So I'm sure that I didn't fully appreciate half of the movies that I saw.
Of course. Well, you're human.
And so that's why it's fun to go back and revisit a lot of those films to see them clearly, perhaps for the first time. I can't pull a title out of the air for you that gives a good illustration of that, though.
But again, because we change, the way we watch things change. So if we've talked about, it's like if you go from not having kids to having kids, or if you have had something, if you've lost someone, if you're someone who's never experienced loss, then you have it for the first time. You're going to be more sensitive. Greg Airbar is saying that Jerry Beck does a monthly cartoon weekend morning show with the New Bev. Check their website. So there you go, Ryan. If you can look that up as well. But yeah, as I say, Jerry's usually really good about posting when he's going to be doing stuff. And that's always useful. What's the most hidden movie palace? I don't know. Hidden?
Hidden?
Do you mean like people don't know about it? Like that? Something like that? Let's see. Warren says, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I was warned that this could be a very painful process, this shoulder replacement surgery. And I'm happy to say, and I'll knock phony wood here, that it hasn't been for me, that the pain has been manageable. Very lucky. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And because when I hurt myself, when I took a fall, and
when this whole thing began,
right, and broke my fall with my arm, I've never experienced pain.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like that before, and I hope never to feel that again.
Yeah. So in general, he's doing well, and we're very grateful. And his second question is, what's the best, worst movie you ever saw in a drive-in theater?
Oh, I didn't. You
didn't go to a lot.
I didn't go to a lot.
Yeah.
I remember. I remember seeing not a bad movie, The Bridges at Toko-Ri, with my parents at the Paramus Drive-In.
Beautiful Paramus.
Yep. And Robert Youngson, who made the golden age of comedy, one of his films, one of his subsequent films, collecting silent comedy, was only playing at the Paramus Drive-In on the bottom half of a double bill. And that's why I went. That's why I went there to see it. So that was not a passion pit excursion for me. I really wanted to watch the movie.
Leonard, you have a Lone Ranger statue behind you. Was there ever a Lone Ranger origin movie with Clayton Moore produced in color? And he says, thank you, the Lone Ranger fan club. I'll tell you, my dad is a proud member of the Lone Ranger fan club.
And when my surgery was imminent, they told me to take off my ring. My
dad has a really awesome Lone Ranger ring that he wears all the time.
Which I'll try to show off another time.
Yeah, when your hands can fit them.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
No, I mean, as you certainly know, the first 3 episodes of the television show in black and white, in glorious black and white, tell the origin story. And with Butch Cavendish and the gang, ambushing the Texas Rangers. No, I don't think that was ever done in color.
Yeah. Again, incredible what stays popular and what doesn't. Which, people can identify. Some people can identify the Lone Ranger. Some people have no idea. Some people know Zorro because of Antonio Banderas, because they made those movies. And then if you are familiar with Shrek and Puss in Boots, you may know those references. you never ever know what's
Yeah.
going to catch someone's eye, which again just fascinates me. All right, since Elvis passed on this day in 1977, what do you think of his movies, and do you have a favorite? His favorite is Follow That Dream.
Well, I just revisited. I don't. It may be my favorite because I haven't seen that many
Mm-hmm.
of his films. I was not really a fan. I wasn't not a fan, but I wasn't a fan or a follower. But I did see it happened at the World's Fair when it was new in the early '60s, and I just watched it again on Turner Classic Movies because Elvis was their featured star during July, and I was astonished at how well I remembered it. I mean, I was 11 or 12 when I saw it. And I remember the songs,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not memorable songs
No.
on the whole. Oh gosh. So no, I can't really weigh in, in a meaningful way about Elvis's films.
I think that he was charismatic, and that is one thing that still translates when you watch a video, when you watch an interview. He had that it. Whatever it is, he had. And I think he was a good actor.
Yes, he was, he was kind of a natural.
Yeah. He definitely it wasn't one of those things that felt like a terrible decision. Sometimes you watch a movie and they put so and so in it and you go, maybe they should have let so and so stay home.
The thing that fascinates me is this tidbit that when they were planning another remake of A Star Is Born in the 60s, the 70s, which Barbra Streisand made with Chris Christopherson, they offered that role to Elvis. And that really intrigues me. That could have been so interesting because Colonel Parker didn't want Elvis to do anything that wasn't a surefire box office movie. And so no experiments, no off the beaten path.
Such a shame.
Too bad.
Yeah. Oy. Oy, oy. Oh, Elvis, what a life. Truly, what a life.
Yeah.
Wishing you both good health from St. Lou. Thank you. Watched a YouTube short last night that said The Day the Clown Cried could be viewed by the public in 2023. Knowing Lewis's feelings about the film, along with your childhood love of his work, would you watch it if you had a chance?
Well, I probably would. I have not followed up a couple of leads because it's sort of a morbid fascination. When Jerry finally did speak about the film, Jerry Lewis, when he finally did address the subject during the last year or so of his life, he said, I blew it. It was an idea that I didn't realize as I'd hoped to. And so I would take no glee in watching, this understandably notorious film that he feels was a failure.
It's, I think that the curious side would probably have you go, well, I mean, gotta see it.
Yeah.
And the other part of you says, yeah, but if they really didn't want you to, it's tricky. I don't think there's a right answer.
He donated all of his films to the Library of Congress, as you may have read.
Yeah.
And that one came with the caveat that it couldn't be shown until 10 years after Jerry's demise.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
I watched Your Dad from the Little Rascals on VHS. Yes, a lot of people, that's one of the ways that a lot of people know him is from watching Little Rascals VHS, which I figure if you have to be known for something, I'll take that.
Yep.
Michelle says, Leonard, we all know you have a great love and admiration for one of my heroes, Walt Disney. If he were to show up in your living room right now and said, go ahead, ask me anything, Leonard, what would you ask him?
Oh, gee.
Boxers or briefs? No. No, probably not that question.
Probably not that
question.
No.
How tall was Mickey Mouse? Mickey Mouse.
I don't know. I would love to have that opportunity.
I think I'd just hug him. I'll be honest with you. If an apparition appeared, I think I'd just hug him is all. I don't know what you would.
She whiz. I don't know.
Who's your favorite dwarf?
I'm kind of overwhelmed.
Who's your favorite dwarf?
That question genuinely overwhelms me because there's 100 things I'd like to ask them about. I'm stymied.
You're stymied. Well, it's true. I don't know what any of us would say if you meet, like, because when you talk about your heroes, there are your heroes, and then there's like your heroes, somewhere up in this land where they almost don't exist.
Yeah.
Because they're just larger than life. I don't know. I don't know what anyone would say if they saw. I mean, again, I understand that this is in our fairy tale magic land, but I don't know what you would say to Walt Disney if you saw him. As I say, other than maybe hug him and say thank you for my entire child. Yeah, Rachel says I would hug him and probably cry. That's what I would do. I think I would just hug him and cry and thank him for my life and childhood. But yeah, I don't know. That's hard. That's a really tough one. What would you ask? What would you, if you had the chance?
I would want to ask something mundane.
Yeah.
What other music were you thinking of using for Fantasia?
Right.
Well, I can look that up.
Yeah. I don't know. Say I don't know. I don't know what you do. It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, now I like this. Have you guys ever met Jeff Goldblum? And if so, is he as Jeff Goldblum weird in real life? In the best way, like not in a jerky kind of a, not at all.
Gray Drake and I, when we were co-hosting a movie review show for Reels Channel, not too many years ago, we're boarding a plane, a Southwest Airlines plane, alongside Jeff Goldblum, and he started playing word games with us, which was great.
The last time I saw him was with you at TCM in the green room, and he had on this like furry vest and these fantastic creeper shoes, and he looked at me and just liked, because obviously I'm also a weirdo. He liked my outfit, and we just sort of bonded over our love of leopard print. He was very nice. Yeah. I think, I think the best thing about Jeff Goldblum is he has hit Jeff Goldblum status, a la kind of Chuck Norris. And I say that in a way that it's like Chuck Norris is living his best life. Chuck Norris is Chuck Norris and doing great. I think that Jeff Goldblum is at a place where everyone loves him for being Jeff Goldblum. And if you live in LA, a lot of us will go and watch him play with his band in Eagle Rock. They play all the time. He takes photos with everybody. Yeah, he is weird in the best possible way, I think. Frank says, I'd ask Walt, can I get a lifetime pass to all your parks? Solid.
Yes.
Solid question, Frank. That would absolutely be the thing that I think you, yeah. Could I get a lifetime discount? Yeah, that's, no. Again, people always sort of ask that kind of question. Who would you meet if someone was no longer, someone who's no longer around? Who are your heroes that you would want to meet? Someone asked earlier, what are your thoughts on Ronald Colman? And we'll end with that. But my mom is Ronald Colman's biggest fan, adores the man. Rightly so. So we have a lot of Ronald Colman stuff in our house.
Yep.
A lot of posters.
And some years ago, we visited his grave. And his grave is in Montecito, right next to Santa Barbara, in a beautiful spot overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And it's a beautiful headstone.
It's gorgeous.
It has like a parted curtain.
Yeah.
And a quote from Shakespeare.
P.S. though, when someone asked me what my childhood was like, my parents took me to see Ronald Colman's grave. But yeah, you guys love Ronald Colman.
Yeah.
And the reason I love Ronald Colman is because he was on. What show was he on? What did we grow up listening to?
Oh, of course. the Jack Benny radio show.
Because I am a huge Jack Benny fan, and I love the radio show, and I grew up with that.
Jack Benny's writers came up with the fanciful idea that Jack lived next door to Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman, and Benita Hume was her name, her professional name, and they did it once, and it was so funny that they made it a recurring joke.
I'm in the library, Benita.
Yes.
Which is something we yell at each other a lot.
Yes.
Ronald Coleman, I would say, has a nice place in our collective Maltin hearts.
I'm looking right now at the Ronald Coleman gravy boat.
Yes, obviously. I do believe we have 2 of them. But yeah, there's a lot of Ronald Coleman stuff in the house. My mom loves Ronald Coleman, and why not? Yes, Gary says, did Jack Benny ever return Ronald Coleman's Oscar? Probably not.
Nope.
Probably never happened. He stuck to it, and it was his forever. Man, yeah, that's...
Juliet Coleman, their daughter, wrote a lovely biography of her father. And she said that people were always disappointed when they found out they didn't really live next door.
Yeah, right.
that was something out of the imagination of Benny's writers.
Funny. Oh, God. I would like to live next door to him. So Michelle, who asked the question about Walt Disney, says, I'd ask Walt what he's been up to since he left us. I'd be hanging on every word, and then, yes, I'd hug him and thank him. Yeah, I think probably the most personal thing I would say is, wasn't it wonderful when you and Diane were reunited? His daughter, who passed away a few years ago, because I'm definitely one of those people that likes to imagine that that's what happened. Is they're back together again where they belong. But yeah, then I just cry a lot at the feet of Walt Disney. Thank you guys, as always, for joining us. We love spending our Sundays with you. And thank you for your concern for me and for my dad. We're both doing well, and we're very, very grateful for that. This one has just started up all of his physical therapies, so he's exhausted, but doing really, really well. And determined to take good care of himself. And again, has 2 very neurotic Jewish ladies, me and my mother, to make sure he does as he's told.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everyone, please be safe. Please be well. Again, you can always, so on Sunday mornings, I post in the morning and I'll say, what questions do you have for us? And I post that to both Twitter and Facebook. You can always respond there as well, because sometimes it's a little bit easier to see those. But you can obviously just always ask questions while we're talking, and we're happy to answer that too. So yeah, sending our love to everyone. Be safe, and don't melt. I'm going back to my cave now.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.